Well, hello everybody. Uh, this is Red 5599 here in London town. Today is the 6th of July 2020. We're outside the Arsenal Stadium. Yeah, we're outside the Arsenal Stadium, or we could say inside the outer perimeter, and we're not inside the inside. We outside the outside. It's circular, the stadium, and there's a circular pathway around it, and a circular pathway around it, and we are outside in the circular pathway. Now, I'm aware that the wind is blowing, so there might be some rustling noise and some noise in the background, but it's interesting kind of test. But the good thing about Arsenal Stadium is that they take into consideration the local people, or the people who use the outer ring of the circle, either to exercise or to jog or to use it as leisure, but mainly for exercising. And they have other local social policies for the community, which I must look into and get involved. So here we are in London. This is Arsenal Stadium. This is in Highbury, some would say, or well, let's say Highbury or Islington. Highbury. The stadium is only about hang on, wait a minute, 2006 to 2020. Are we saying about 14 years? And I think from 2000 to 2006, that's when it was built. Yeah, in 2006 it was open, and 2007 I managed to get to go inside. There was an event celebrating the Windrush event, or I think it was, or slavery, 150 years or something. But anyway, the event, I was inside. I actually did some recordings of that inside. I didn't really look around inside of the stadium, and that reminds me, that's something I've got to release on YouTube, the events and stuff that we did inside of the stadium. Today, Monday, the 6th of July 2020. Saturday was the 4th of July 2020. They called it Independence Day. That was the easing off of some of the lockdown, almost, but not quite, having a sort of, for some people, bringing things to a half normal, not full normal, but a half normal. So it's a kind of normal plus mask, normal plus gloves, normal plus distancing, normal plus washing your hands. The virus is easing off in the UK. We're getting on average about around 100 deaths a day, but the contamination, the infection rate is about 1,000 a day. Let me repeat that. The infection rate is around 1,000 a day. The death rate is about 100 a day. There was times when it peaked around 700, 800, 1,000, and the graph I'm looking at is almost that of a mouse. It's got a big a hump, and then it's got a long tail, and hopefully in the long tail of the virus. But there is fear that it might come back again, or those who weren't infected will get infected. And basically, I don't know whether it's a mutation or whether it's people who didn't get the infection who's going to get the infection. But there's a fear of a second peak, whatever the cause of it, whether it be a mutation or whether it's people being infected from the first infection of the virus, the COVID-19. We might have COVID-20 by Christmas. But this is where we're at. Today's weather is overcast. It was very bright earlier on and shiny, as in sunshine, overcast. I was here earlier on this morning, so we had people running around and exercising. As you see, we've still got people running around and exercising. I did a test, But today, I really escaped from doing the stuff I'm supposed to be doing. I've never stopped working during the lockdown. I work in 3 dimensions. I work in the past, I work in the present, I work in the future. I've got stuff from 30 years ago or so. I've got to document. Some of it I have to throw away, some of it I might just have to give to people, because some of it is of important documentation of what we did in the community in those past times. So that's the past. Also, the skills that I've gained from the past gives me the ability to work today with this new device that I'm speaking into and testing out here. And what I'm doing today will have a bearance on the future. So if this turns out to be good and this has great demand, I might be doing more stuff in the future. So in my context of things, we're always working in 3 dimensions, But it's just amazing that there is so much mobile phones, there's so much devices. This device is a small square device. It's action cam. There are loads of people driving around with it stuck on their heads. Well, in fact, stuck on the helmet of their bike, motorbike or bicycle, stuck on the helmet as they're driving around, so it's a standard feature. But it's like Spielberg said at the advent of the camcorder, the portable cameras. He says there will be movie makers who will be born from these camcorders, and because everyone has it, and now everyone's got it on their mobile phone. But I have yet to see a major production that anybody has done using a camcorder. There have been a couple of nice bits and pieces, but nothing has broken into the world. Mind you, where the mobile phone has come into its own is in relation to events, tragic events. And so people will pull out their phones and they would record it. And that brings me on to the subject of George Floyd, who was killed by, 3 police officers. 2 of them held him down, and the other one had his knee on his neck until he was suffocated, and he died. and there was a big backlash that went through the whole world, and it reached us right over here in the UK. And it teaches me one lesson about where black people are at in life and in relation to the virus. With the virus now, it shows it's disproportionately killed a lot of black and ethnic minority people. And what that shows, it's not that they have any physiology that puts them at a disadvantage. It's that the system, the stress, their social position, their jobs, their work, their family situation, the institutional, the systemic and historical racism that keeps them pinned down like the knee on the neck of George Floyd, as Al Sharpton would say. It's been on our neck for 400 years. And if anything, it shows how poor we are in society. Not necessarily financially poor, because some of us may be financially okay, but we're still socially poor. We are not respected. You know, we are systematically and institutionally and historically being excluded, directly and indirectly. You know, so it shows how poor we are. And after this virus is over, some say if it's over, you know, it might be a continuation for a long time. But it whatever position you are in life, it's going to be compounded. One of the first industry is the travel industry to get hit by the virus, and there's loads of pilots now that are unemployed. There are loads of airline stewards unemployed. So just imagine going up for a job and you're competing with an airline pilot, you know. So it's going to be tough. Plus, in the UK, it's about 10 million people is on furlough. Plus, we got the normal unemployment numbers, which is I think a couple of million. And after this is over, half of those people on furlough would not have a job to go back to. So it means all of us on that low edge of things will be fighting for restricted resources. Even though the government is borrowing money and quantitative easing money, the magic money tree, right? The magic money tree. To keep things going, eventually someone will have to pay, whether it's a year's time, 10 years time, 50 years time. And as far as my knowledge, as far as I know, the payment for what was borrowed from the Second World War, the final payments was only about 5 or 10 years ago, you know, from the Second World War, which I don't know whether it makes sense or not, but there's a massive amount of building going on in the UK at the moment. So at that high level, there is a tremendous amount of buildings going on. And if I swing the camera around, and this, right, in the background there, that is a good example of development, new buildings and stuff. Each one of those apartment is like about £1 million, £750,000 to £1 million. Some are social housing, and this is built around the Arsenal Stadium. And there's still more. I think around here the building in relation to this development have finished. Yeah, there was some fencing up there up to a few months ago. They were just finalizing some bits and pieces. So a tremendous amount of buildings are actually going up. I think in the background of that shot, before I turned the camera, there was a crane in the background. You would have seen it. That is a massive development happening down there in N4. It's called London North Development. All right, in the background we got a train. All right, it's gone now. So in the background with the camera before I turned it, if you saw the development, if you saw the picture, the crane there, it's a massive development. It's called London North. Massive. Apartments in there is like 1 million to 1.3 million, and it hasn't finished, and people were actually already moving in. So there's massive development on that level. You know, finance, investment companies, pensions fund. These are the people borrowing money and building, and of course, you know, the economy at that level is growing. The rich will get richer and the poor will get poorer. Before the virus hit, we had a tremendous amount of people actually sleeping on the streets. Now I don't know what government's going to do, whether they'll be able to keep them off the streets. A new policy, we don't know. All right, now I can hear the wind is building up, and I know it's impacting on the sound. So I am gonna conclude this part here, and watch out. Hopefully I might put this up on Asia and Friends Facebook page. All right, so search that in the Facebook search for Asia and Friends, or simply type in hashtag RED5599TV, and a lot of the stuff that I've done and I'm connected with is going to come up. So for me, outside of the Arsenal stadium, or outside the stadium but inside the inner ring, I'll see you next time.